Yeah, here we have the types of shallow foundation. So we have the first one to be isolated spread footing. So and the feature of this type of footing is that it has a single column, then it's usually square or rectangular in shape. Then it's used when load is moderate and the soil has good bearing capacity. So if the soil has good bearing capacity, then this isolated footing can be used. So we have wall strip footing. So for wall strip footing, they support a load bearing wall. So it's actually used to support a load bearing wall. Then continuous strip along the length of the wall. Then used when loads are light to moderate and soil is reasonably good. So if your soil is considerably good, so you can actually use this strip footing. Then we have combined footing. So for combined footing, when you have two supports or more columns, that is when you have two or more columns when they are closely related to each other, so you can actually make use of combined footing, meaning if your footings are very close to each other, so you can just combine them to just make them a combined footing instead of making them each isolated. Then used when isolated footings would overlap. So if you have two footings that the distance between them is not that much and they may tend to overlap, so you can just combine them to a combined footing. Then can be triangular or trapezoidal. So you may have them as triangular footing or trapezoidal footing. Then the fourth one is strap or cantilever footing. So and this type of footing is used when two isolated footing are connected by a strap beam. So that means you have a strap beam, at the bottom of the footing. Then it is also used when a column is near a property line and load is heavy and eccentric. That means if you have a heavy load on the column, then the column is near the property line, so you can actually make use of this type of column. Then we have continuous footing. So supports a row of columns. That means if you have a row of columns, so you can actually use a continuous footing. Then continuous strip under all columns. Then when we have columns like this, we used when columns are closely spread and loads are light and moderate. So for continuous footing, when you have columns that are closely spaced and the loads are light. So what we mean by light load is when you have maybe for a residential building and not a commercial building now, so the loads on that particular column might not be that much. Then we have mat raft foundation. So a large slab supporting many columns, then used when soil has low bearing capacity. So if your soil has low bearing capacity, so you can actually use your mat or raft footing, that is a raft foundation. Then reduce differential settlement. So it actually reduces differential settlement. Then number 7, we have eccentric footing. That is column load is not at the center of the footing. So when your column load is not at the center of the footing, so you have your eccentric footing. So and resultant of load passes within the middle of 2/3 of the footing. So you can see the column is not at the middle of the footing. Then we also have stepped slope footing. So this type of footing is used in a foundation in steps or slopes. So when you have your foundation in steps or it's slopey, so you can actually use stepped footing. Then where depth of foundation is more, but width must be restricted. So you have more depth, you understand, with a particular width. So you can actually use this stepped footing. So things to note: the suitability of shallow foundation depends on soil bearing capacity, that is one. Then the load, that is the load acting on the columns. Then the settlement and the economy. Then proper soil investigation is essential before selecting the type of foundation. So you actually need to carry out proper soil investigation. It's the investigations, that is the result of the investigation, that will result into the selection of appropriate type of foundation or footings. Yeah.